Good evening, everyone. My name is Raham Hashi, and I'm the project manager at Living Well Kent. In honor of Martin Luther King Day, I wanted to start off by remembering the man Dr. King was. On April 1960, in Raleigh, North Carolina, Dr. King said the following: "The aftermath of nonviolence is the creation of the beloved community, so that when the battle is over, a new relationship comes into being between the oppressed and the oppressor." Dr. King believed in peace. He believed in healing together. He believed in understanding and forming a common ground in order to make a change for the better. A change for our community, a change for our country, and a change for generations to come. With that said, I want to thank you all for being here with us today at our first annual Night of Healing presented by Living Well Kent. This was a long time coming, and I want to thank my colleague Nigisti for putting in many long hours and for being patient and persistent in guiding the youth.
Hi, my name is Nigisti Abdi, and I'm the Youth Program Coordinator for Living Well Kent. On behalf of Living Well Kent, I would like to thank you all for joining us tonight. I would like to thank the Mayor, Dana Ralph, and the entire Mayor's Office for supporting the Youth Policy Council and making tonight's event possible. We would like to personally thank Uriel Varela Jr. I don't know where he is. Oh. for his efforts and support throughout the process. During Circle One Day, the youth discussed the effects of gun violence in our community and wanted to do more to raise awareness surrounding gun violence. We reached out to Uriel, and he has gone above and beyond in supporting and guiding the youth in making this event possible, from having an info meeting with the youth, securing this location for us to use tonight, and giving the Youth Policy Council a tour of the entire Mayor's office. It is very much appreciated, and we look forward to working with you in the future as well.
We would also like to acknowledge the Kent School District Superintendent, Dr. Watts, who's here with us today. Representatives Tina Orwell, who's also right there. Thank you for being here. Kent Police Chief Rafael Padilla. Be joining us soon. And the entire Kent Police Department. Community members, and county representatives.
So tonight the youth will be leading the way in beginning the conversation surrounding gun violence and raising awareness about its effects within our community. The youth will be sharing a presentation, and 3 of the youth will be sharing personal pieces that they wrote with the criteria of just sharing their truths surrounding gun violence and how they have experienced it or its effects on them.
So without further ado, I would like to welcome the Living Well Kent Youth Policy Council.
My name is Yakub Abdi. I go to Kentwood High School, and I do a running start at Greenwood Community College. I want to make a change in my community, not for the bad, but for the good, and to help all of us heal on this night of healing.
Hello, everybody. My name is Farah Abdullahi. I am a senior at Kentwood High School, and what inspired me to join the Youth Policy Council Steering Committee is I like seeing growth in the community and youth, and Living Well Kent emphasizes in that.
Hello, my name is Samira Mohammed. I'm a 10th grader at Kentwood High School. I'm part of the Steering Committee, which is a branch of the Youth Policy Council at Living Well Kent. And I wanted to come out here today because I want to heal together as a community and as an individual. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jassim Asban. I am a 9th grader at Cambridge High School. What inspired me to the Youth Policy Council Committee is wanting to make a change in my community for the young youth, and making them young leaders of the future.
Hi everyone, I'm Zainab Mazban and I graduated Kent Ridge High School in 2018, and what inspired me to join the Youth Policy Council Steering Committee was the change that I knew would happen in our work.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Akarim Abdi. I graduated from Kentwood High School last year, 2018, and I am the youth leader for Living Well Kent. And my goal is to leave a mark on the community that can last for generations. And I like to talk about restorative justice. I'd like to thank all the people that made this event possible, also the mayor's office for allowing us to use this facility. We put countless hours into this event, and I'd like to thank the youth for their work. I'm really proud of them. A big part of our work at Living Well Kent is to build up the younger generation. That's important for me because as a young kid, I got the opportunity that other young youth don't get. My work has to do extensively with restorative justice and holding peace and healing circles. The Youth Policy Council and the after-school program has been going around the community, teaching young youth around Kent restorative justice practices and teaching them about food access and food systems. We hold circles at Birch Creek Community Center and Valley Key Community Center with high school and middle schoolers. Our curriculum is based on social and emotional help with life skills. Also, we give the opportunity for after-school help, benefiting the kids that are in high school and middle school because some of them can't afford tutors. Each week we have different topics that we discuss, also help build ideas on bigger topics in life. We hold a healthy and safe environment where the kids can be themselves without having the burden of society on their shoulders. We also teach young youth ways to tackle everyday situations and how to de-escalate conflicts and confrontations. We teach them mediation skills. Our goal is to help them run their own circles at their schools and community centers so they can influence change themselves. Thank you. I'd like to introduce the executive of Living Well Kent, Shamsa Isaac, and Mauricio Ayan, the board of Living Well Kent, board chairman of Living Well Kent.
Thank you, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Representative Orwell and council members for being here. My name is Mauricio Ayon, and I'm a resident here of Kent. I actually live about a block and a half away, so I'm very happy to be here. I'm very proud of the youth and all the work that they have done, so I want to welcome you here, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about Living Well Kent. I'm going to let Shamso sort of introduce herself.
Thank you, Mauricio. Hello, my name is Shamso Isaac. I'm the Executive Director of Living Well Kent. Living Well Kent has started 2014 from 7 of us in community that came together and to make a change for our community, and Mauricio and I and 5 more members. And over the years, we have been holding facilitation and community engagement in the community, trying to get food insecurity and food access to our community. And then later we started in 2015 engaging youth in the Kent School District. So we serve we host about 35 youth in Kent School District, middle schools and high schools, and our facilitation, part of it is restorative justice. I wanted to start this a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Day, and the youth are the ones that decided today is the good day to the community to heal because of the nonviolence principles that Dr. King taught us. So the quote goes, "People fail to get along because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other. They don't know each other because they don't have a communication with each other." So that's what restorative circle brings to our youth. This is a space that they come together once a week to talk about issues in the community, to have a space that they feel all belong. So, I think that's what I want. Yes, so today, as much as I want to talk, but it's the youth that is leading this, and we want to honor that. Kareem will be next.
Thank you.
My full name, my mom calls me is Abdi Karim, but my legal name is Karim. I just want to talk about myself. Basically, I'm the youth leader of Living Well Kent. What do I aspire to become? I want to become an endocrinologist for several reasons. And I want to become an endocrinologist because when I was 14 years old, I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And my goal has been since then to find better ways for kids that have type 1 diabetes, like to make sure that their burden that was been put on me from the illness, to make sure that they don't have it. And my goal is to find ways such as new medicines, maybe new technology that can help them manage what happened to them. So that's just basically what I aspire to be. And one thing that I also aspire to be is just a change for the community. My goal always has been to help people. And at a young age, my mom said, "Why am I so selfless? Why do I think about other people before I think about myself?" And my mom's always on me because I be thinking about other people instead of myself. She says I don't think about my best interest. That's not always true. I just like to see people prosper. And growing up, my dad instilled values in me that made me the person I am today, and I am thankful for that. And I've been volunteering around the Kent community since I was 14 years old. Since back in 8th grade, I'm Meridian Middle School. I got the opportunity to help my community. And I went through the South King County area doing projects. I got licensed as a mediator when I was 15 years old. I got certified at the age of 16 to hold peace, making and healing circles when I was 16 years old with different organizations till I met Shamsa, and she gave me a position at Living Well Kent that I'm happy to have, because I get to interact with young youth and impact their lives, and that's great. And I just graduated from Kentwood High School, and it feels good to graduate, but though there's still more school, I got 8 more years of school, but though I'm just gonna knock it out because that's my dream, School, knowledge is always power, so yeah. So now we're going to be doing our presentation about gun violence, and we're going to be talking about mostly facts about King County nationally, and you guys are in for a treat. We've been working on this for a solid month, and we might have pregame jitters, but though, you just got to sometimes show up in the clutch. So yeah.
Hello. So, in the past 21st days of 2019, there has been over 2,700 incidents by gun violence. In the past year alone, over 56,000 incidents has also occurred. 340 mass shootings and many lives lost. Today, we are all here to heal. I'm here to heal because I want to see a change. You're here to heal because you want to see a change. We are all here today because we want to heal together.
So our mission with this presentation is to spread the knowledge about gun violence and how it affects how it affects the United States of America nationally, and how it affects us at city level, Kent level. We're going to be finding ways. We're going to find ways for solutions, or try to open up a discussion on this topic, or start with steps to open up a discussion about gun violence, and to teach you guys about what's happening around the United States with gun violence. So I feel like everyone has seen this word everywhere: restorative justice. And if you check right now at a governmental level, there's a lot of push for this. And I like to first describe or explain what restorative justice is. So restorative justice, to me, is is when two parties come together, such as an offender and such as the victims or the community. When they come together and have a discussion about what happened, such as, let me give you a scenario. Let's say I do mediation. So let's say an elderly man got robbed by a young fellow. And so you bring them two together and you bring a representative from the community. Once you bring the representative from the community, there's a person that holds a stake for the community, there's a victim, and there's the offender. So restorative justice basically brings all the parties at the table to find a direct, clear solution to solve the problem, to solve the situation, and to heal from it. I like to say that crime causes harm and justice should focus on repairing the harm. The people mostly affected by the crime should be able to participate in the resolution. So there's 4 parts for restorative justice that I like to explain. Let's use an analogy as building blocks. So the first block would be inclusive of all parties. Make sure all parties are at deck, all parties are at the table. The second would be encountering the other side. Make sure that the other side of the argument is always there, such as if the offender's there, there should be a victim. And if there's a victim, there should be the community leader, and there should, to help give ways or scenarios for, to direct the conversation. And there should be a person always there to direct the conversation to keep it flowing. The third building block would be making amends for the harm, such as finding ways that are good with the offender and the victim to help alleviate the stress that's been caused on the victim, and to help find the offender a good way for him to go on with his day so he could live his life. The fourth building block is reintegration of all parties into their communities. Make sure that every single person that's been affected by the situation or by the incident goes back to their community feeling much better, having a certain understanding of what happened, and knowing the ways that they could the ways that they could move on from the incident that are much better. And those are the 4 building blocks of restorative justice for me. Oh, it's actually 3, my bad. The last one would be transformation. This can cause fundamental changes in people, such as relationships and communities. So that's restorative justice, and that's what I basically work on.
So what is gun violence? Gun violence is violence committed with the use of a firearm. Now, this could be anything from criminal violence to gang activity to someone accidentally pulling the trigger. Gun violence is an alarming issue in this community, and that is why we are here tonight. Gun violence is one of the leading causes of premature death in the U.S. There has been 814 deaths in this year already. This problem is rising at a crazy pace. About 85,000 people are injured due to a gun every year. Nothing is getting better. Nothing is getting better if these numbers keep rising. So we are here today to account for the lives that we never accounted for.
Guns and gangs. If you look over here to the statistics shown on the board, gun-related homicide is among the most prevalent things with gangs and the commission of felonies in the judicial system. If you look over here, the firearm crime rate has gone down, but the incidence of firearm is still the same. It's still the same. 8 to 7 incidents are still reported till this day. There is progress for firearm incidents. It has gone down by a lot, but 400,000 is still a lot at state level. Is still a lot. And this is like one thing that I've been seeing is that nearly all gang-related homicides are involved with guns at 95%, and that's a lot. And that's a lot. With my experience and everything that I've seen is that guns and gangs go in hand. You can't see one without having the other, and that's a big problem. And one thing that I like to advocate is building up the young kids of this generation, so they don't feel obliged to being a part of a gang, to feel like like they're a part of something. It's not really something that they should focus on. And so yeah, next slide.
Effects of gun violence. Gun violence has affected everyone in one way or another. In over 5 cities, gun violence has affected neighborhood profits and neighborhood values. With this happening, this is also lowering many people's credit scores. Many people are in fear. In 2012, one of the first mass shootings from many to happen from many others is the Sandy Hooks Elementary School. There, in 2018, there has been over 340 mass shootings altogether. That is a very, very high number of how many people's lost their lives if you're just thinking about it. Data tracked over 330 gunshots near or around many schools in Washington, D.C. We want to think about the lives around our children's safety and their schools. So, there is many reasons. Gun violence is now the second leading cause of death for American children ages 5 to 14. That same age level are more likely to be killed by gun violence than any other high-income state or country.
So for the impacts of gun violence nationally, American children aged 5 to 14 or 14 times more likely to be killed with guns. American adolescents and young adults aged 15 to 24 are 23 times more likely to be killed with guns. When American children and teens are killed with guns, nearly 60% are homicides, about 1,600 a year. And like she said, the gun violence is the second leading cause of death for American children. An estimated 3 million American children witness gun violence every year. Witnessing shootings can have a devastating impact. Children exposed to violence, crime, and abuse are more likely to abuse drugs and alcohol, suffer from depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder, and engage in criminal activity.
What is impacts of gun violence in Washington State? In Washington State, 39 children aged 17 or younger died as a result of firearms in 2018. This is equivalent of a child or teen being killed by gunfire every 9 days. An additional 30 children were hospitalized statewide. In King County, 6 children died as a result of guns in 2018, and 9 other children were hospitalized in King County during this period. Children are the future. No one wants their children dead because of a firearm. Children are supposed to be worrying about toys, not possibly dying because of a firearm. Firearm suicides are 75% of all firearm deaths and accounted for 47% of all suicides in Washington State in 2018. Suicide is not a joke. It's a serious matter. If anyone's dealing with it, you could talk to me, or I'll refer you to the National Suicide Hotline. In 2016, 4% of King County 10th and 12th grade students reported having carried a gun at least one day during the last 30 days. Kids carry guns because they feel like it's necessary to keep a strap. Usually, the kids who carry it are a part of a gang or use it for protection. In 2018, an estimated 150,000 adults in King County reported keeping a firearm unlocked. People having guns in their house unlocked, but don't know that it could cause a lot of harm and danger, and if it falls into the wrong hands. In 2017, 28 homicides occurred among youth aged 17 and under in Washington State. 17 of these youth died as a result of firearm homicides. Youth are easily getting a hold of firearms now, and that shouldn't be happening. Kids are dying because of it, and no one wants to stop it. In 2017, 62% of homicides in Washington State were committed with firearms. Again, firearms are accounting for 62% of homicides. Gun violence is a big thing in our beloved state. And last but not least, an estimated 34% of Washington adults It's around like 1,825,000 people. 18 years or older reported having a firearm in or around them in their homes in 2018. Just under half of these adults, 46%, or 839,000 people, reported having an unlocked firearm. Having an unlocked firearm. Access to firearms, including storage practices, are a known risk factor for firearm suicide, especially among the youth. Imagine 1,825,000 people having firearms, and 46% of them are unlocked. Well, unlocked means they're in the house, but like just out there, and kids can grab it anytime. And just laying around their home, that's like the secret formula to a huge disaster. Yeah.
Impacts of gun violence in Washington. Impacts of gun violence in Kent, Washington. So if you look at the graph, you see from the ages 17 to 23, number of shootings, shooting victims were up to 16, and it ranged from 16 all the way to 14, and that's 49% of the shooting victims. Firearm suicides were 534 died, and 75% of them were all firearm deaths. In 2018, 28 homicides occurred among youths aged 17 and under in Washington State. These they died because of result of firearm homicides. I like to bring attention to young kids are dying from gun violence, and that's a really huge thing because. For me, I'd expect older people because they're the ones more access with guns. They're the ones buying it. They're the ones getting it. But if you see that more young kids are affected than the ages range from 32 all the way to 59 or 62, and that's a really big thing because if you're 17 years old, let's say if you're 13, let's say you're 14, you're not really thinking about you're thinking that you're going to have a long life. So seeing that situation, having younger brothers and everything, it's very alarming for me. But I feel like tonight we should open up a real good discussion about how to deal with it. So this right here is, we got it from Pew Research. It shows that 12,883 homicides happened. It was gun deaths by intent. And if you almost double that, that's 22,274 were from suicides. And that's really alarming to me because growing up, as a young kid, you've been kind of depressed about certain things because you've been try to find yourself. And seeing this is kind of very alarming, and it's something we should look at holistically. Also, gun injuries by intent. 666,000 were assaults, such as people getting mugged or getting attacked with a gun or shot at. And the thing that's really alarming to me is unintentional. So what they mean by unintentional is basically having a firearm at the house. So let's say you have a firearm at the house. It's not locked. It's not in the safe. It's not concealed away from your kids. And if you think about it, it's very, if it's laying around, the kids could grab the gun. There's multiple situations that happened in Seattle last year of kids getting a hold of guns and playing around with this, shooting their friends or shooting themselves. And that's really big because 17,000, that's a lot of people dying for no reason. If they would have just locked up their gun, or if it would have been locked up, a lot more people would be a lot more people will not be hurt from this. And next one. This right here. So if you look at this chart over here from Pew Research, it shows that the United States, for first world countries, has the most homicides for gun violence, 25 times over any other high income countries. If you look at Denmark compared to the United States, that's a lot. If you subtract 3.6 minus 0.2, that's 3.4. 3.4, that's a lot. And this isn't through the 100,000 residents. So that's a really, really big margin if you look at that.
Our mission as a youth policy council is to meet the last Thursday of every single month, to refresh of the month and to make sure these stats drop, because this is like unacceptable due to these many lives losing every single month and every single year. What we talk about, or what we discuss in the Youth Policy Council meetings, is that we've been collaborating with other LED organizations and been discussing on many ways to mentor the youth in today's, and also gone through meditation to calm down during an incident or to talk to someone when angry, to de-escalate like a situation. So when a person is mad, we can talk to them, or we can do simple as mindfulness and meditate. But the youth has also been discussing to report anything suspicious or out of ordinary to the current scenario. Teaching youth to report anything suspicious will have a good habit in their future to keep the area safe from danger.
So this right here, this slide, we're talking about our promise to everyone in this room, our promise to our community, our promise to our state, and our promise to the United States of America is that we promise to heal. We promise to heal with you. We promise if you need a shoulder to cry on, we'll be there. If you need someone to listen to you, we'll listen to you. And yeah, so that's our promise to you guys. And so our message basically for tonight is to heal. And before we can heal, we got to talk the facts. And we just did that. And talking about the facts sometimes can be a little bit overbearing. We were talking about a lot of statistics. And I like to not take away from the reason why we're here today. And the reason we're here today is to heal. And to open up further discussions about gun violence and to see what we could do as a community to reprimand for all this stuff happening around the world. Thank you for listening. And yeah, thank you. I'd like to introduce Mayor Dana Ralph. Everyone, clap for her. Kind enough to speak at our event, and she's been supporting Living Well Kent for a long time. And thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I want to thank the Youth Policy Council for putting this together tonight. It takes a lot of guts to stand up here in front of people and talk about a really hard topic. And if it wasn't for you guys putting this on, this room wouldn't be gathered here together. So thank you for coming down to visit me at my office. You said thank you to me, but I'll tell you, I got a whole lot out of that day. It was wonderful sitting there having those conversations with you, hearing about what you're doing and hearing about how much you care about our community. And sort of unrelated, I also want to thank you for giving me a reason to wear my favorite shoes, because that's my shout out to Youth Policy Council. So we talked a lot about in my office how my favorite color is orange, and these guys show up in orange all the time. So thank you for that. We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. That's a quote from Dr. King. As I was thinking about what I was going to talk about tonight, I was doing my Google search on all the different quotes and things that he said, and I kept coming back to this. And the thing that strikes me is it's such a simple thing, but it seems to be really hard for us to do, right? We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. The world is more divided today than we've ever been, and it's divided over big things like politics and race and religion, economic status, equal opportunity, gender, all of those things. But it's also often divided over the really small things. Who are my friends? Who did I talk to? Who thought I looked at them the wrong way? Who did I cut off in traffic? All of those things that just shouldn't matter, but they turn into, in a lot of really sad cases, acts of violence in our community. I believe that together we have an opportunity to be trendsetters in our nation, trendsetters in our community. We need to come together to find a way to support each other and lift each other up and empower each other. This event, the work of the Youth Policy Council, it's a really good starting place. You guys are setting the foundation for all of us, and for that I am very, very grateful. The theme of this evening is a night of healing, and we've heard about that, right? Where does it start and how do we do it? And a lot of the reasons why as a community we have to come together and heal. There are bad things going on around us. You can't acknowledge or begin to heal unless you acknowledge those things and try and figure out what the cause of it is. And I think it still all goes back to that quote, right? Unless we can figure out how to come together as brothers, we'll perish. Violence is easier, violence of any kind, not just gun violence, but bullying, physical violence, all of those things, they're easier to commit against someone that we believe we don't have anything in common with, someone that we don't know, someone that we disagree with, right? If you think about it, it's easier to get angry with that person in the car next to you that cut you off because you don't know them. If that was your friend, you'd laugh about it and you'd give them a hard time later, but it's somebody you don't know, somebody that looks different. It's a whole lot easier to get angry about that, and then from that anger, we know violence happens. The bottom line is that we all have way more in common than we have differences, right? We have families that we love. We have beliefs that we hold close. And most importantly, we have dreams of what we want to be, what we want to see our community to be, and what we want to accomplish. If we look at each other through that lens, through the lens of those dreams, the people that we love, the people that are around us that support us, it's almost impossible to believe we're different. Right? If you think about it, doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter what you believe in, what you want to do with your life. If you think about that the person next to you has all of those same things, it's hard to see them in a way that would allow you to commit an act of violence against them. We can stand together as a community and we can say this isn't okay in our city. And that's my action cry for you tonight, right? Is that we have to come together, places like this, out in the world, at our schools, at our churches, in the community, and say that this isn't okay. We don't accept violence against each other, and it's not just a part of life. I think too often we turn on the news and we see things going wrong. We see violence and we just go, yeah, it happened again. And we can't. We can't let it become a part of our normal existence. That also means we have to stand up and we have to take a stand for what's right and for what is acceptable in our community. We can't just say that's not okay. We have to set the example of what's right. As youth, as students, kids, you guys have a unique opportunity to change the way future generations act and what they see as normal. And it starts with things like standing up against bullies, right? When you see somebody being mean to somebody, saying something that's not supportive, you have to say something. And it's hard. It's really hard. It's a whole lot easier to sit back and go, okay, well, I'll just let it happen or I'll watch. You have to stand up and you have to defend those around you that are not able to defend themselves. It means telling people that violence isn't the answer. So if you're in a conversation with somebody and they're talking about, hey, I went out and did this, or we got in a fight, or I've got a gun, or whatever, it means saying to them, it's not okay. It's not okay in this place. It's not okay in our community. It's not okay in our society. It means showing love and understanding for those around us. So there's lots of ways that we can do that. It's just sometimes just by showing up. The more that we make this kind of behavior a way of life, the less room there is in our life for violence and hate. The healing has to start with us, right? It starts in our homes, with our parents and our brothers and sisters, and then it can spread to our classmates, the ones we work with, and those people that we've never met, the ones I talked about earlier, right? The ones next to us in the grocery store line, or the one next to us in traffic. Taking a step back and remembering that we all have different experiences that brought us to this place and time, and remembering we don't know what's going on in somebody's life in a given point in time, right? It's easy to say, oh, they shouldn't have acted that way or they shouldn't have done that. Remember, there's something that brought them here. And so taking the time to understand that is a really key part to us being that kind of community. When you smile at somebody in the grocery store or at Starbucks, asking them how they are and really meaning it, taking a second to listen to their answer, right? I think too often we all stand, how are you doing? And then you kind of go on to your next thing. But ask somebody how they are and really mean it and listen for their answer. It's a random act of kindness for a stranger, right? All been in line at Starbucks or at McDonald's with somebody in front of you who's paid for you, or they hold a door open for you, just little things, picked up something that you dropped, those random acts of kindness, that smile, those words. Those are the things that are going to change our community. They're going to be the things that bring us together, because it reminds everybody that somebody cares, right? We can all go through our day, and if we don't have that contact of knowing that there's people around us that care about us, it's really easy to get down in that place of, you know what, it's okay, I can do whatever I want because nobody really cares. We don't ever want people in our community to feel that way. We know it's easy to say, right, violence is never the answer, there's always a better way. We need to do things that can change that mindset, make sure that people in our community know that that mindset's not okay, and that's loving each other and supporting each other. And again, there's lots of different ways that we can do that. It just starts by showing up. As I was doing research again today, like I said, looking for quotes and things like that, the thing that struck me the most is that Dr. King's movement wasn't about self-promotion. It wasn't him standing up there and giving speeches. It wasn't the fact that when you Google him, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of his quotes come up. That's not what he was about. It was about empowering every single voice to speak their truth, ensuring that people have the same rights and privileges as everyone else in the room. It means that in times of struggle, we have to stop dividing ourselves into groups, that tribalistic instinct that we always have, right? When you're uncomfortable or you're upset or you're sad, you reach out for that core group, that individual place where, we talked about gangs, right? That's the reason for gangs, is that we all go back to that. That's not what Dr. King was about. He was about making sure that we were strong as a community. We have to build up and empower each other to ensure that we are all protected. And that's each and every one of our jobs. I know, and I know that all of you in this room, because you're sitting here today, know that we are many different faces, peoples, and beliefs, but most importantly, we really are the same. We are one community, we are one Kent, and together we can make a difference when it comes to violence. Thank you.
So next we have a very important guest that we're honored to have here today with us, Representative Tina Orwell from the 33rd District. If you can please come up here and say a few words.
Well, good evening. Thank you for inviting me tonight. I've been really inspired, and it gives me hope to listen to you, all of you. And Karim, where are you? A mediator at age 15. That is so impressive. Congratulations. That's really amazing. So my favorite Martin Luther King quote is, "An injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." And for me, part of seeking peace is seeking justice to discrimination, to poverty, to the things that really are so toxic in our community. Also, when I think about healing, and I really just love that theme. Who came up with the healing theme? I'm seeing things pointed. Because part of it is, how do we heal our communities? And for me, part of that is making sure every voice is heard, that people have a sense of belonging, and that there's hope. And, my background, I'm a social worker and a mental health professional. And one of the things I've worked on quite a bit since I've been down there is on suicide prevention. And again, we do lose 2 to 3 young adults every week in our state to suicide. And it's such a painful thing to work on. But the thing I will tell you is most people don't want to take their lives. They're in incredible pain, and they're trying to end the pain. And so it is the most preventable form of death. And so I really appreciate the statistics you gave with the 80% of firearms. And I think something our state's been looking to do is we started with training professionals. A lot of people in the healthcare actually weren't trained around suicide prevention. And it's kind of like CPR. We want everyone to know the signs and symptoms. And so we've been training professionals. We had, remember the chiropractors really did not want to take the training. And I got an email after we gave it, and the chiropractor, he sent me this note, and he's like, I really didn't want to take this training. I didn't think it was relevant, but it was pretty good. And a week later, my son called from college, and he was suicidal. I knew what to do. So again, I think these are skills that we need to have. And one of the bills that I've introduced this year is around K-12 suicide prevention. And I had a group of students come see me, and they said, you give us all these materials in our schools, and they don't mean anything to us, and they don't talk about social media, and it doesn't talk about our experiences. So part of what I put in the bill is a big grant. So really talented youth could come apply for these funds at any school district and help us set up what is the message to youth. What is the best way to actually engage and find solutions? So coming here tonight made me think of that, is that the solutions to all these complex issues are really in our own communities. And so the other thing is one of the meetings I went to this summer, and I felt so sad, there's a work group we had called the Mass Shootings Work Group. And how sad is it that we need to have a work group on that topic? And again, it's kind of speaking to the fear, right? The fear and what's going on in our schools. So there is this comprehensive package that is going to go through the legislature. But again, I think so much comes down to our community and being able to sit down and heal and figure out what our own solutions are. One of my things I've been working on, I see Chief Padella here, is that we've been working on youth and firearms. Right, what do we do around youth and firearms? There's a number of shootings. I know last month, right by where I live, a 13-year-old was shot at his bus stop waiting to go to school. We had another woman a couple months ago who was at her desk in Burien. And so our communities are really impacted by this. And so trying to figure out the solutions for youth, what do we do? What are the solutions? And I know part of it is the community coming together and trying to figure out what happens that first time some youth is carrying a firearm. What do we do? Do we reach out and give them hope? One of my favorite programs, I had Dr. Watts left, is the iGrad program. You guys familiar with iGrad? iGrad? It's this great program of hope where, young adults that don't know if they're going to finish high school can go and get their GED, they can get an AA. And so we went last week and said, well, what about the trades? So labor wants to come. I mean, there's so many great career paths, and we're really showing that to all the young adults in our community of what great careers are out there. And so to me, having hope is trying to connect those things. And again, I don't think we have the solutions in Olympia, and that's why I come here tonight, is for you to tell me, what do we need to do, right? Do you feel heard? How do you make schools safe? I had a student meet with me last week, and they had gone to their principal because they wanted to have a mental health group, and the principal said no. And so they said, well, actually, we want to have a mental health group. And so they end up actually getting federal dollars to create their own youth group. And now they're going to go all over the state and try to help other young adults, and they want to be part of the grant program. And so one of the hopes I have is that youth are going to come forward and help us design the services and supports they needed. The other thing we were looking at is something called DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy, which is mindfulness, right? It's regulating your emotions. It's trying to get those skills through like social emotional learning and other programs. And so those are good things, but I think it's events like tonight that you're doing that actually creates the healing. We can do the right policy, but it's the people that actually implement and make it work. So I guess tonight what I would say is, can you come join us? Can you come down to Olympia when we're talking about these issues and share your voices to help be part of the solution? So thank you.
Okay, so now we have two performances by Yaqub and Kareem. Give it up.
Okay, bear with me. I must be reading off my phone on my notes. I should have came a little more prepared, but well,
Same thing here, so.
yeah. So my piece about gun violence and how it affects me and how it affects my community. I'm gonna be talking about. I'm gonna use a lot of different rhyme schemes. I'm gonna switch up the flow on different different verses, different lines, and so yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. Lost in a pitiless ocean, I got a lot of stuff on my mind. It's like we're all asleep in a world, there's no justice and no peace. We're all fighting for our lives, losing our friends in these streets. People killing kids on the news every day and every week. Lots of people in this world, but no one wants to talk and no one wants to speak. I'm just trying to rise above the hate and elevate. They see the money and they salivate. They think about a quick fix, but in the end, they bring out the stick till they shoot twice and somebody gets hit. Rounds on the floor on an empty unloaded clip. Feeling so numb, gotta play the rule of thumb. Feeling so numb, gotta play the rule of thumb. I don't wanna die in a society where more than 100 people are dying from shootings. Is giving me anxiety. I'm out here chasing my dreams. I came from nothing, it's a beautiful thing. Coming from nothing to a step from your dreams. One is being stagnant, become traumatic. Feeling too much, body shaking, body static. When what you're facing is fighting the facts. I'm feeling battered. One shot to the dome, I'm feeling shattered. Hundreds of people are running, they scatter. Sensitive eyes, the sight of a lover seems to love in disguise. Similar eyes, left stuck with the symbol shuffled to the side. All these monumental moments hang over me like symbols and signs that I can't seem to define. Tears all fail words to describe emotional suffocation when you're lost in the information of your own education. I've seen my brother's dreams die. I've seen what they can't be denied. Life's on a drug, but seeing I don't want to ruin those 3 lines. I'm a force to keep on, keep trying to stay strong every night, realizing I can die. The light in me will survive. Yeah. I'll be his hype man.
20 rounds be getting shot. Bodies be left to rot. Families waited for that one call so they'll be told their son's gone. Look, I'm not trying to get no fame. You know I ain't no lame. I was the outsider looking in, so I went and changed the game. I'm connected to my faith like Seattle to its rain. Look, all the stereotypes the world set on me, and now young white Jack. I feel like everywhere I go since the moment I was born, I had a target on my back. And it's all because the skin color I was born was black. Look, it's not fair. The world's like a huge sniper on my head, call that ballistic. The world has me set to become another statistic. 20 rounds be getting shot, bodies be left to rot, families waiting for that one call so they'll be told they're gone, their son's gone. Look, gun violence is a real thing. The only thing we should be worrying about is our dream. But nah, this is reality. Guns going off, creating fatalities. This is a hard topic, so you know it's challenging. I'm trying to stay strong and keep fighting and keep battling. Cause I'm a young black kid trying to make it out the streets. Everywhere I go, stereotypes on me. People all say that we all smoke weed. We are humans, so you know we all bleed and we are free. And we are free to make our own choices, trying to be the voice for the voiceless kids out there that be toyless. I'm gonna make a change so you know you better quote this. And then 20 rounds be getting shot, bodies be left to rot, families waiting for that one call so be told their son's gone.
It's UK.
Now introducing the police chief, Rafael Padilla.
All right, good evening. Yeah, I would use my phone for notes, but I can't see that small, so I write on big paper. Go a little old school. Well, it's an honor to be here. I am very impressed. I haven't had a chance to interact with you much before tonight, but I am extremely impressed. Very well done, and so thank you for inviting me. So I'm going to talk a little bit tonight, part one, about from a perspective of a 26-year law enforcement officer, and then part two, and probably more important for me, is a dad of 25 years, father of 4, because this issue of violence, and particularly violence against youth, is a really big deal, right, and very near to my heart. So I also think it's incredible that you've chosen to address these issues tonight, on the night that we take time to remember the teachings of Dr. Martin Luther King and the principles and the values and his legacy. I think it's very timely because some of his teachings are very relevant to this issue specifically. So I'm going to go here. So here's the chief of police cop part of it. You guys did an excellent job with the statistics, very thorough. The only thing I would add to that is a couple of things that we know specifically the South King County. There's data being collected by the King County Prosecutor's Office in an initiative called Shots Fired. And 8 of the largest municipalities in King County, including Seattle, are contributing data in terms of what's going on with shootings in the region. Right? So it represents about 80% of the population, so it's not complete numbers. But the numbers that we do have over the last 3 years are pretty disturbing. On average, we're somewhere in the ballpark of 650 shooting incidents per year in King County since 2016. 2017, we had a very rough year, and the numbers are well over 700. In those, the primary person to get hit, sorry guys, 40% or more are always going, or more than that, or actually the majority are male, and they're all, 40% of those are under the age 24. Okay. Here's something else that's coming out that one of the things I hope to get across is this. We hear over and over that youth are arming themselves with firearms because they're afraid, because they feel like they need to protect themselves from other people that have guns. And what the data is showing, and I don't have the specific percentages, but what the data is showing is that who you hang out with matters. If you are in the company of people that have guns, your likelihood of getting shot goes up like 300%, even if you don't ever carry the gun yourself. Okay? So that's one of the things there. Some other points of note. You know, we know we're doing a lot here in the South End, but we even outpaced Seattle. South King County did for homicides per capita in 2017. Not a good trend. We know that in addition to being around people, we know that offenders who are shot are twice as likely to be killed by firearms after committing a shooting, right? So this notion that guns will keep me safe and will keep me protected really is a falsehood. It statistically is not correct. So what are we doing about it? You know, in Kent, we do a lot in terms of working with the youth and preventative measures. We're partnered with YouthLink and Alive and Free, other initiatives. We got mentorship programs. We're doing cops in schools. We have our police science class, several programs. We have gang resistance programs. We're doing a lot of the traditional things, but really where my focus is on the heart of our officers, right? And the effort to try and be more human and be more interactive, particularly with our youth, right? I had a choice tonight as to how to dress, and half of me was like, oh, I'll wear a tie, or maybe I'll wear business casual, and ultimately, I ended up deciding on I wanted to wear my uniform. And more, I'm deciding that I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be seen in this uniform so that you can see that this uniform has a human inside of it. It's a very important part of kind of breaking down those walls. This uniform should represent trust to everyone. This uniform should represent service to everyone. And so it really starts there. Okay? There's a lot of other things that come into it. You've talked about restorative justice, preventative measures. And as the chief of police, I also have to say, let's not forget about our victims, right? I'm glad that we are really focusing on the offenders, but let's not forget about the people that are the victims of these crimes. We need to take care of them too. And lastly, when all else fails, there still has to be a level of accountability in the criminal justice system. Okay? So there you go. That's my cop talk. That's the cop perspective. So let's switch gears to something I'm more comfortable with, actually, and that's being a dad. So I'm going to tell you 3 things that I talk to. So this message is to the youth. I'm going to talk about 3 things I tell my kids. And we kind of talked about the first one already. We know statistically, and it really matters. When I get a chance to talk to youth in the community, one of the things I ask them to really be mindful of is who they associate with. Who you associate with. Are they people going in the direction you want to go? Are they going to support you in your dreams, in your pursuits? Is it a positive relationship? Because if it's not, I'm asking you, be a little selfish. Choose you. Find a way out of that if you can, right? Who you hang out with, like the policy group, matters. Makes a huge difference. Second, I'm really glad to see this generation, and I implore you, continue to place a high value on life. I think, unfortunately, in a lot of areas with a lot of different groups, particularly our gangs, the value of life is non-existent, right? We've lost that value, and it should be the top priority. You said it, I believe it was you that said it, you love to see people prosper, and I thought that was awesome. That's a man who values and understands the value of life. Because when you value life, you're not going to become so offended by a disrespectful social media post that causes you to go get your gun and shoot somebody. You're not going to get mad because somebody looked at you the wrong way. Right? You're not going to do these things that are going to create conflicts because you value life. One of my favorite quotes, and there's been a lot of quotes by Dr. Martin Luther King tonight, and that's good. One of my favorite is this: darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. You know, when you think about that, Dr. King was calling us to be light, to stamp out the darkness, to make a difference where you can, right? Meet hate with love, and on. So that's dad talk number 2. And then part of that is the responsibility to take care of each other, right? If you love each other, you have a responsibility to take care of each other. We all know the adage, snitches get stitches, right? And we've got to fight that, right? That's exactly what the violent criminals want us to. They want us to be afraid. They want us to think that if you stand up and help a victim, or if you speak up against something that's wrong, if you intercede and try to prevent something from going sideways, that something bad's going to happen to you. And I get it. There's a risk. I get it. But if we're all too afraid to speak up, that's how they prosper. That's how they thrive, right? Another quote from Dr. King, and I think this one's been said earlier, says, life begins to end the day we become silent about things that matter. I believe that's on the brochure, right? And he was talking about social equity and civil rights, and specifically when he said that, but it pertains to this. If we don't talk about the things that matter and we don't stand up, that will prevail, that will grow, right? So moving through, and I'll bring us home. My last dad talk for the youth is this: nothing good happens after 10 p.m. Nothing. Okay? And as a kid, you never believe it, right? As a teen, nothing fun happens before 10 p.m., right? It's kind of that dynamic. But we know statistically a couple of things from the data. Number one, most homicides, particularly homicides against youth, occur after 10 p.m. Makes sense. And the most prevalent day for that to happen is Saturday, followed by Sunday, which is odd. So no good things happen. What else do we know about 10 p.m.? What's going on our streets? It's dark. Who's driving? Who might be driving? Drunk drivers. Most of our vehicle homicides, fatality collisions, DUI collisions occur after 10 o'clock. So my message to you is plan your social gatherings well, right? Get somewhere and stay somewhere. And if you have to travel in between, it's point A to point B. Don't hang out there where things can happen, because, as my dad told me, and now I'm lecturing to you, nothing good happens after 10 p.m. I want to close by, let me find my notes here. One final quote from Dr. Martin Luther King, and it goes like this. Dr. King said, we must accept finite disappointment, but must never lose infinite hope. And that was a very eloquent way of saying we can never give up, right? Never lose your hope, never give up, never give in, never quit. And so I'm proud to see the work that you're doing in our community. I encourage you to keep going. I commend you for all that you're doing. And now I'll stop lecturing. Thank you.
So this year, I've taken part of the MLK rally, which goes to all 4 schools. And I had a line in each part, which was, tomorrow starts today, which it was the whole logo between the whole MLK rally. And my line was, when is it the time when we take charge of what we want our future to look like? When will we become part of that change? That time is today. That time is today, when we are all healing together and we all make a voice be heard. So please give a hand for Siham Abdelkader, who will be performing one piece for her. so she is. Hello. How's you guys, Nick? So this is called like a dream for a better society, and yeah, they call this America. Freedom of speech. But the last time I heard our voice was back when we came, coming to this country, saying this was the place that we're gonna escape to, but not knowing that this was the place that we're gonna hate. While they judge us for their misconduct and they lock up our children far away from us, calling us racist names as they pull our scarf and we feel unsafe. Well, why can I not escape as they force us to love this very place? How can I love this place if there's no love to be received? Love is compassion in what we can see, but all they see is the color of our skins and the things we breed, calling us dirty skins that have to be clean. Or why can't you see that they say this is the land of the free? The land where people pop pills, are encouraged to smoke weed and pull out a gun so we cannot be free and have an American dream that is not possible to succeed. And they call this the land of the great, the land where they put my brothers and sisters' lives at stake, the land where we're discriminated and society doesn't give us justice. So the last thing my brother wants to do was claim a gang so he doesn't have to feel the hate. And that's when the gun go, man down, no justice, no peace. The mentality of the police team, not the Kent PD, but the individuals that hate me. Like MLK said, I have a dream. Well, I have a dream that society will claim me and accept me for me and nothing in between. And I can fully follow my dreams. Follow my dreams and everything my mama believed I could achieve. I'm a black Somali Muslim queen, and that's the mentality I want to be. And if that gun go, I cannot fully follow my dreams. I cannot fully follow my dreams. So please, so I cannot fully follow my dreams, not to make my father and mother remember the war they ran away from long ago, where the AK-47 was ringing in their ears, gunshots and blood. As soon as the blood will cover the sea, what could you actually believe? The tears that were shed or the tears that won't be seen, while they're covered with the prosperity of their dreams? But did that actually come to be? Because you're black, so you're meant to be in jail. You're black, sit back down. So you're black, so that's that. You're black, that's a fact. So you're colored and that's a wrap. So excuse me, sorry if we came here to heal. If our voices are not heard, then what do we say? Tabaraka fi. If you don't know what that means, it's a saying we used to please. Look at society and the beauty it brings. I came here to make peace, and that's the structural mentality. No more gunshots, no more wars, no more stereotypes as we become one big community. Hatred turns into love, and love is affectionate. Can that moment actually be relevant? Because I have a dream for a better society.
Thanks, Siham. That was awesome. So next, we have planned a visual that we're gonna go outside and sort of have a moment of silence for the lives that have been lost in 2018 and beyond.